Hello everyone, welcome to another watercolor tutorial. Today's tutorial is referenced from alehoney, which I'll include in the description. It's a beautiful red Christmas house, that's what I would describe it as. And so I just drew it out with a pencil for myself first, so that it would be easier to paint, because it is a more complicated design than, you know, what I usually paint. And quite often I look at these and I'm like, oh, that's gorgeous, I want to paint that. And then I try painting it and it looks pretty bad. So we'll see how this one turns out. Now, okay, here's something. In all my years of painting in watercolor, I have always said in my tutorials, okay, like draw it out and then erase it so that it's light enough for you to see, but not dark enough so that the watercolor shows through. And recently I was watching this person I watch on YouTube, who is not like her channel is not a watercolor channel, like she does cottagecore style videos, and she also paints in watercolor in her videos, and she doesn't erase her pencil marks, like she uses them as part of her painting, which I thought was very interesting. So I thought that I would use this painting to try that out. So this is either going to look really bad or really good. We will find out. Something like that. Okay, so I've very roughly sketched this out. The one thing I will erase though is this like garland that I tried to pencil out, but it's not gonna look like that, so I'm just gonna erase it. So once you've got something like this sketched out, maybe like pause this video and then put your piece of paper over the screen and just trace this. I don't know, or just draw it out for yourself like I did. We've got a door, a window, a red house. I'm just gonna change my water out because I didn't do that. So, my friends, I don't even know where to start with this, if I'm being totally honest with you. I don't even know what red this is. And usually I would say, who cares? No, I still stand by that. Who cares? Use whatever red that you have. But this is like kind of a plum colored red. It's hard to say. It's like that classic Swedish red house color. So, oh my gosh, that's another ant. I don't know where the heck these things are coming from, but if there's one here, that's really concerning. See, look, it's about to crawl onto the piece of paper. No, it didn't. Okay. That's so frustrating, because they're those giant ants and I cannot for the life of me figure out where they are coming from. And like they're carpenter ants, and those are really bad because they have that name for a reason. They do damage to your house. And I've been seeing them for weeks now, and every time they're in a completely different place in the house. So that's really not helpful. And very bad. So I am just covering my whole paper with this plum red mixture. And I'm glad that I can see those pencil marks underneath the color, because that will aid me later. But I'm just making sure to not paint the window red, because that's going to be a different color. And so is this base thing. So because this house is only partially on my piece of paper, I just taped the top and the side, because there's no point of doing these sides if I'm not even going to be painting there. Okay. And the red door. Just have to pick up more pigment. I'm telling you, this is a lot easier when you just pencil it out and leave the pencil so that it shows through the watercolor. It's kind of like doing a paint by number. I've never actually done one of those, so maybe it's absolutely nothing like paint by number. But this is what I imagine it would be like. Okay, so I do want to, before this dries, I'm just mixing, I had some brown on my palette, so that's what I'm using. I want to add some like shadowy shaded areas to this. So that it's not all like uni-colored. So my issue is that it started drying a little too quickly, so I just had to go over the whole thing again to maintain the moisture, and now I'm going back in with my shadowy bits. Okay. So looking all right so far. What else do I need to do here? What can I do while that's drying? I guess I can do the shingles, which are brown, but I am going to use my size 1 for that because they're much smaller. I'm gonna actually mix a little bit of that plum color in with the brown. probably easier if I just paint this all the way down and then fill in the shingles. Like so. That looks like a scary shingle. Those points were not meant to be so sharp, so let me just fix that. Still a little sharp, but that's fine. It'll do. Okay, next, because I hope that's dry. No, that was not dry. As you can see, it's now on my hand, but oh well. So I'm going to take like super watered down this, whatever that was, like the brown plum mixture. Actually, I'm going to add a little bit more brown, so you can just water down brown. And I'm going to paint this bottom section here. This is like the, I want to say it's the concrete foundation, but I don't, concrete isn't brown, so unless you can make it different colors. Maybe it's a wooden base, who knows? So we're just filling that section in. Okay. I'm gonna just extend it a tiny bit on the bottom there. And again, I want to add shading to this. So I'm going to add a little bit here. And down below the door, because that's probably where it's going to be darkest, right? Tucked away in that corner. Just think like, where would the areas be darkest? And put your shading there. I don't really, like, my shading is not always very accurate. I just add shading sometimes because I'm like, oh, this will make it, this will add some dimension to the painting, but I don't really know what I'm talking about half the time, so. But that should be good like how it is. So, okay, what are we doing next here? So, in my reference photo, all of these white parts are just that, they're white, but I don't want mine to look the way that they do, because they don't look that great. So I'm debating, do I fill them in with gray or do I just outline them in black? I don't know. I'm going to grab black. And try the outline first. I can just try it on something less conspicuous, like the window. So actually, I kind of want to make the inside of these window, like the glass parts, maybe make them yellow. This is why I often say in my tutorials that you don't have to follow exactly what I'm doing, because I don't do the same with my reference photos either. Like sometimes a really good idea, or what I think is a good idea, comes to me that isn't on the reference that I'm looking at, and then I just do it because it looks good. So do the same. I think I'm just gonna switch, as much as I don't want to, I'm gonna switch to my quadruple zero for this part because I need a really fine outline here. And I don't like using this brush for long brush strokes because I can't get long brush strokes. It's such a tiny brush that it doesn't hold a lot of water or pigment. And honestly, now that I'm thinking about this, why the heck don't I just use a marker? Because that would be cheating. That's why, Julia. That would be cheating. So just outlining the frame of the window. Kind of overlapped my red where I should not have, but hey, that adds character to our painting. I'm actually surprised that this is only 18 minutes long so far, or around there, because it feels like I've been going for longer. I mean, I'm gonna try to fill these sections in with yellow, and if they look really bad, I can always paint them black. That's the good part about this. I can always go lighter. Sorry, darker. Oh man, I should really be using the smaller brush for this, but it currently has black on it and I don't want to rinse it off. I wish I could get live feedback from my viewers. Like, hey, what do you think we should do now? Do you like the yellow, or should we fill it in with black? Thoughts? What are your thoughts? I'm gonna leave the yellow for now. So it looks okay to me. And you know, the outlining it in black, it kind of completes it. And I can always go over the white with acrylic paint to make it look like it was painted. So I'm just going to outline the door frame now, doing the same thing that I did for the window. Okay, I think I'm gonna like fill in the insides with acrylic paint because it turned out a little bit thicker than I was anticipating, the black outline. But anyways, we move along. So I'm gonna outline, honestly, I think I should just outline everything in a thin line of black. Kind of makes it look more complete. I'm gonna switch to my size 1 and see if I can make it work with the size 1. Because I could do like one long brush stroke with this one, but it's a lot harder to, like, I can't do that with the other one. So let's see. This is starting to look very cartoony. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go over the white there because there's too much black. It's kind of ruining the delicate aesthetic that I was going for. I just can't believe that this is the third last tutorial of, like, I don't know what order it'll be uploaded in, but it's the third last tutorial for 2023. It's gonna be uploaded at some point in December. I just don't know when exactly. Okay, so now we're outlining the haunted shutters. Yeah, that I should have used the quadruple 0 for. Okay, so few more details that I want to add to this to actually make it look like a Christmas house, because right now it just looks like a red house. We're gonna go over the like brickwork or siding of the house as well. However, we first have to do the greenery. So I'm just wondering how this green is going to come out on this red. So I'm just choosing a really bright green first. And it's going to go like something like this. Wow, that is actually really nice and bright. I can't remember if I said it in this tutorial or another one, but I vote for this palette, guys. Link is somewhere in the description. I love this palette. I started using it. Well, when you see this tutorial, it would have been like half a year ago, but it is so opaque. I'm very impressed. So it's gonna attach here and then kind of flake down like this. And then we're gonna have another wreath over here beside the window. Or not another one, the first one. Like so. But I want to darken this a little bit. Like I want a more a green that would be more used for greenery, and lime green is typically not that. So I'm just gonna add that in. And make sure to make it like fluffy looking by dabbing your brush. Oh, that's going on so smooth. That is extremely satisfying to paint. Okay. So I might add another shade of green in there, or just black. Okay, I quite like that. I don't know how it's appearing to you guys. Maybe I should increase the brightness. That might be really bright, but it looks really good in real life. I hope you trust me on that. So I'm just going to wait for that to dry before we add any like details onto that. But in the meantime, we can be doing other things. So for instance, what can we do? We can maybe define those lines now that I've got the wreaths there. So I'm taking black and I'm just watering it down. That is still too dark. So you can, like, I'm already not really seeing my pencil marks, unfortunately. But that's okay, like I'm just kind of roughly doing it and it looks pretty okay. Like I'm leaving some gaps in some places. Okay, so that looks all right. I wish I had made it more red. I wish I stuck with the red and not like this plum, because it kind of dried to be a pink. And I could still go over that, and I'm very, very much tempted to. Let's just see. The thing is, we're already at 32 minutes. Shoot. Now that I did one, I kind of have to do them all. Why did I do this? Because it's not as easy now that I have greenery painted. So don't do this. Just make yours red from the beginning. Or just accept your fate if you used the pink. Because otherwise you'll be stuck with this problem now that I have. I'm very, very, very carefully trying to just go around this greenery. Okay. We salvaged it, all is well. So, okay, we did that. What else can we do now? I want to paint something like in front here because this looks very empty. Maybe we can paint a, like, she has a bunch of things, like a cat, boots, but we are not gonna do that because that is a lot of work. Instead, I'm going to just paint a bucket with a Christmas tree. So I'm taking gray and the bucket will just very, very lightly overlap the house. like so. But I don't like that you can see the corner of the house through the bucket, so I'm just gonna see if I can kind of blend that out. Usually I can. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna see if I can add some white watercolor to that just to distinguish it a little bit more. There we go, yeah. That's a lot better. Okay, now we're in business. So I am grabbing some green watercolor. My little tree will maybe go up to here. And I'm just painting it in these layers going downwards like this. Although I need to wait for the last layer because the bucket needs to be dry. And I have this issue again with the house here, which is very good that we didn't fill this part in with acrylic paint yet, because that would have been very problematic. But I'm just going to try and do something similar to what I did with the bucket. The thing is, it kind of destroys my nice aesthetic, but should have thought about that before. Mostly got it out. I'm gonna let that dry before I do anything else to it, like both the bucket and the tree, and then we can figure out how to fix that after it's dry. But okay, so what I'm gonna do now is first I'm gonna try white watercolor instead of acrylic to just like fix some of, oops. Okay, that might actually work using white watercolor, because again, my palette is awesome and it's very opaque and lets me do that. My previous palette, I definitely could not cover things up with the white. Like, it was just way too transparent. It just covers that red right up. That's awesome. So I'm gonna do this as well. It's too bad I can't do it here. I mean, I guess I could use the same color. I painted the black on too much, like too thickly. And the side as well. Okay, So that's looking good. A lot better than I was expecting. And so I think this is dry now, so no, but the pot is not dry, so I'm still not gonna do anything with that. This isn't dry either, so I think I'm just gonna put a blow dryer to this to speed this up. Okay, so that should be dry. I'm grabbing that green again. I'm gonna make the tree a tad bit bigger. So I'm using my size 1 brush here just so I can get those finer details. So that adds a little extra Christmas spirit to this painting. All right, I think this wreath took a really long time to dry, but I think we can finally add some details to it. So I'm gonna grab my white acrylic paint first and foremost, and we'll add some orbs to this. If your white watercolor is not as opaque as mine, you can buy the palette, or you can just use like white acrylic paint or whiteout. Honestly, that would definitely work if you can figure out how to apply it in a nice circular shape. But I'm just applying these white dots all over my wreath and my garland. You could do as many or as little as you want. I'm going to also grab, I don't know, what would be another good color for this? Yellow maybe, because that's also quite bright. And put some little yellow dots on it as well. I'm trying to think, like, what's another nice color that would work well, that's bright. Maybe let's try this purple. No, red. Red would look nice because of like holly and whatnot, but I don't know. Oh, maybe it is opaque enough. I was scared that the contrast wouldn't be big enough because red and green are they complementary colors, or I don't know. I did not pass the practical portion of art class. It was the application that mattered to me. Whoops. Just apply whatever you want, as much or as little. I think I'm gonna make my white orbs a little bit bigger though, because I want the white to stand out the most since that's the most contrast. Okay, so that is looking good. I think I really want to stop because we're at like almost 50 minutes here, but I can't stop because it's not finished to my liking. I'm gonna take gray and add some like shadowy features to the bottom here. Which makes me realize that I should have taped the bottom as well, but what are you gonna do? And I'm also going to paint the beautiful lantern that she has hanging off here. It's more of like a greenish black. So, okay, I'm gonna cheat, guys. I'm taking a marker and just drawing this on as a guide for myself. Actually, I guess I could have used a pencil too, but this is easier. I'm just drawing this lamp that's hanging off here, and then I'm gonna go over it. Okay. There was another lamp here, but I just don't want to overdo it and keep going. Like, I feel like we have enough. Maybe we can sprinkle on some snow to complete this because, I don't know, something just keeps telling me, oh, it's not done yet. It's not done yet. I still have to add this. I'm just adding white as like a highlight to this lamp to make it look a little more realistic rather than flat like it looked before. So yes, we are going to sprinkle on snow. I'm going to take white acrylic, white watercolor, and like tap it against a hard object. So I'm just using a brush, and it makes it snow. And honestly, this white watercolor splatters way nicer than the acrylic paint. The acrylic paint kind of goes everywhere in these streaks. Just gonna apply a very light layer of snow onto my tree to add a little extra something to it. Okay guys, I think we're done. No, we're not. I'm still gonna add snow to the roof. That actually does not look very good, so that is a little bit regretful. I feel regretful of that, but luckily I can probably take that off. Not really. But it's so almost not visible, so I'm just gonna leave it because I don't care anymore. We are now going to just peel the tape off if you applied any. And that is a pretty handsome looking house, if you ask me. For an hour-long tutorial, I think it's a little, you know, we spent a little bit too much time on this, but I think it's pretty good. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to hit like for this extra long tutorial, subscribe for weekly videos, and I will see you in the next tutorial.